Here, I want to make you start with, there's an American author called as Immortals. He wrote this book called as Gentleman in Moscow, right? So what is the context of this book? So he wrote it towards, like, the hero of this book is called as Count Alexander, and he came from an aristocratic family in Russia. And what happens is that after 1917 Bolshevik Revolution, he's arrested by the Bolshevik tribunal, court or a justice council, whatever, and he's put into a house arrest in a hotel. So this entire idea of house arrest in a hotel is something. So this is the context of A Gentleman in Moscow, because after the Bolshevik Revolution, which we'll discuss, the worker parties, the peasants took over. It was the proletariat of the state, Soviet Union. So in that, before all the aristocrats or the very rich people, all of them were put into house arrest in hotels. So in that context, so he this author who is American, he got this idea when he went to Switzerland, and he was staying in very posh hotels, and then he decided that he's going to write something which is mixing Russian history with this fictional idea. So he uses this term comrade, and I found this very, very beautiful. I found this entire quotation very beautiful, and I'll tell you why. So it starts with, comrade, what the count. Now there was a word for the ages. So it means that Count Alexander is talking about the aristocrat who is going to be jailed in the hotel. He is thinking about the word comrade. And he thinks about, the moment you think about the word comrade, it has this entire longevity. It is a very old word, or a word which is much more communist, or a word which can be used for solidarity. So Count Alexander is thinking that, okay, there's a word like comrade. When Count was a boy in St. Petersburg, so during the time of the Russian Empire, the capital of Soviet Union, and before that was in the Russian Empire, it was Petrograd or St. Petersburg. Now it is Moscow. So when he's saying that when the Count was a boy in, one really bumped into it. So look into the beauty of it. So when the Count was a boy, the word comrade, the personification of the word comrade, that it was not a word that you will eventually bump into. Obviously, because there was no revolution before 1917. And during that time, when the protagonist of the story is a young boy, it's an aristocratic Russian Empire ruled by Nicholas II, or the Tsarist. So what was comrade at that point of time? It was always prowling at the back of a mill or under the table in a tavern, occasionally leaving its paw marks on the freshly printed pamphlets that were dying on the basement floor. So when the Count was a young boy, us samay, the word comrade was like, like the lion prowls before, just attacking a prey, right? So the word comrade was like a lion waiting to prowl and attack. Where was it found? Your personification of the word comrade is happening. It was found at the back of a mill, or it was found under the table in a tavern. Tavern is a mill, is an inn, right? Or a bar, pub. So under a table in a pub, occasionally leaving its paw marks. Matlab, it was so, before the revolution, it was very tentative. बहुत ज़्यादा use में नहीं था. It was also not having a lot of confidence. People were scared of using it. There was no understanding of the term. So ये जो freshly printed pamphlets, जैसे if you go to JNU, so you'll see the poster culture. That on every wall there are posters, right? So there's a poster culture which is taken very intuitively with the leftist culture. तो उसको उस चीज से इन्होंने connect किया, this author, that like a freshly pamphlet that was drying on the basement floor. Up 30 years later, now after 30 years, what has happened? 30 years later, it is the most commonly used word in the Russian language. Comrade has become like the most used, easily used word in the Russian language, a wonder of semantic efficiency. As I taught you, what is semantic? It is about the language, right? Comrade could be used as a greeting. So look how good this word is. Like, we meet so many people, we don't remember their names. So instead of that, you can easily, when you meet someone, you greet someone, you say, hello, comrade, because you don't also remember the name. Or a word of parting, like ciao, Bella. Like not ciao, not Bella, but in the sense that, goodbye to a friend, then you say comrade. There's a word of solidarity. Someone needs to mute their mic, please check. As congratulations or as caution. So I'm very proud of this, comrade. Or comrade, just be alert. As a call to action or as a remonstrance. What is remonstrance? We all know there's something called as demonstration. So your homework for today is find out what is remonstration. There's a term called as remonstration. So it can be used for caution, it can be used for congratulations, it can be used to make you, get alive and say, okay, do this work, this is what you have to do, this is your duty. Or it could also simply be the means of securing someone's attention in the crowded lobby of a grand hotel. That, there's a grand hotel or you're there and you just want to call someone very loudly, So the term that you use is comrade. And thanks to the versatility of this word, thanks to how versatile this word is, what starts happening is that the Russian people have finally been able to dispense with all the formalities that, you don't have to call miss, madam, sir, whatever, with respect or trying to show hierarchy, right? You can use the word comrade, and the person who is elder than you, even that person is going not to take it offensively. In fact, it will be a statement or a word of solidarity. And where else in all of Europe could one shout a single word to hail any of the countrymen, be it male or female, young or old, friend or foe, right? So, comrade became so many things, you know. So, this author is very beautifully talking about that before 1917, how it was, very risky to use the word, and this word was not in the common parlance. But what started happening is after 1917 it became so ubiquitous. If you don't know what is ubiquitous, you have to Google it. So the point is that this it became an everyday word which you are using, right? Now we are going to come to what is the origin of it. So like camera, like the term camera and comrade, they are coming from the Latin word or the Latin room, which means chamber or room. So someone with whom you share your chamber or your room is your comrade. The idea of chamber is also in the camera, right? So, but interestingly, it is not the Latin word for comrade that we use. It is the German term kamerad, which is used for comrade, for showing solidarity. So how did it come? How do we start using it? The first question is that only can leftists use it? Or is it a ubiquitous term that everyone can use it? So let's figure out what the answer to it is. So the first thing is that it is a form of address. How do you address someone? And it started after the French Revolution. So I am where in 1789. So from there, the term started being used in normal parlance. More prominent after the Russian Revolution of 1917. What is the Russian Revolution we are going to study? But it became much more prominent after 1917. If you're thinking that ubiquitous means prominent, then you're wrong. Now, what are the famous points of it? The first point is that why was the word comrade needed? The history of the term comrade was basically that you needed a term which was egalitarian, did not have any kind of hierarchy of age, gender, or class. So when Louis the 16 was, eventually before his death, 4 months before his death, when he was killed, he was called as Citizen Louis 16, so that you take away the hierarchy, take away the power dynamics, and give him an egalitarian name rather than a monarch or a king or whatever. And comrade as well as citizen was a neutral word. But over the period of time, this became controversial. Uh, when Kamerad was used, it was a term which was used for solidarity. In the German anthem, in many of the national anthems of the European countries, you'll have this kind of solidarity and term, right? And a lot of poems have been written on this. In Russia, what happened, something which, we'll debate with the thought of Amor Towles, the one who wrote The Gentleman in Moscow. In Russia, what happened is that after 1917, especially when Stalin became the head, uh, they started using the term, the leftist term was tovarish or tovarish. Instead of comrade, the term that was actually used by the left in uh, Soviet Union was tovarish. But what happened was that the entire idea starting with the term tovarish was also to get egalitarian idea that you use a neutral term when you're addressing someone. But Stalin made it mandatory. So if you're talking with Soviet troops, you have to use that term. If you're talking with about Stalin, you have to use that term. So what happened with tovarish is that it became more like a imposition that you have to do it. But comrade was then, how did comrade become famous when in Soviet Union you had the other term tovarish? So the answer to that is that in Germany, in Austria, in the Labour Party of UK, they started using the currency of the term comrade, right? That is how it became much more, and I'm talking about most of the Western Union, apart from Austria, Western European countries and UK. It's not European Union anymore. So that is how the currency of the term comrade started. But it is not something which will always be used in leftist ideas. When you had a movement in South Africa which was against the apartheid, the people who were the black people movements which were against the apartheid and were wanting for their empowerment, they were using the term comrade for each other. In black rights movement, which is all over the world happening, we can see the part of it right now with the emergence of George Floyd protest. In that also they can use the word comrade. So it's strictly speaking not only about uh, leftist dialogue, right? But the idea which I want you to understand is the idea of using the term came because you wanted a neutral way of addressing the other, right? Like we started using the term of they, the pronoun of they, when talking about people who are trans or not in the binary of male and female. Without any kind of judgment or value attribution, you need to use a neutral word. So that was comrade. It has leftist connotation, no doubt about it. But the question that we have to ask is that was it the term which was very famous in Soviet Union? The answer is no. It was tovarish which was used over there more in the time of Stalin. So who made comrade as a term very popular? So it's Austria, Germany, and the Labour Party of UK. And then we have to talk about that how, over the period of time, the term comrade, irrespective of the other person is a friend or a foe, the gender or the age, you can use the term comrade to have some kind of solidarity, a working class solidarity, which was reflected without any kind of value judgment with the usage of this term, comrade. Right. So, what I want to make you also think is that go back about any other term which was also neutral. How many terms are there in your language, in your own language, which are neutral? Right. So, think about that. Apart from that, we have to also think about George Orwell when we talk about the word comrade. So I don't know if you guys know, but George Orwell, who has written 1984 Animal Farm, written against the totalitarian regimes, he was born in Motihari in Bihar. I don't know if you guys know, very famous British author, right? He was born in Motihari in Bihar. His father was in the opium department of the Indian Civil Service, positioned over there. Then he went back to UK and then traveled a lot. But what I'm trying to say is that he wrote about the Spanish Civil War Remember, in one of the classes when I was talking, in the very first couple of classes, I gave you the image of Guernica, the painting of Guernica, which was the painting of the Spanish Civil War and the destruction that was caused by it, right? So George Orwell is talking about the Spanish Civil War, and he says that in theory, at any rate, each militia has a democracy and not a hierarchy. So all these, violent groups that you have, right, which are not part of the state's military, but of the civil rights movement, they are a democracy and they are not a hierarchy. How are they a democracy? They are a democracy because it is understood that orders have to be obeyed, right? But they also understand that if you're giving an order to someone in a militia, and this is the context of the Spanish Civil War, you use the term comrade when you give orders. You associate and think of the other as a comrade when you give orders. So there's no hierarchy. Though orders have to be followed, but the entire someone who is elder than you will have to give, or someone who is senior than you can give you orders. That idea is not there, right? There were officers in NCO. So NCO are non-commissioned officers in any kind of military, especially in the West. There are two kinds of military officials. One are commissioned officials and the other are non-commissioned officials. The commissioned officials come into the military through the military, what do you say, institute or agency, or the school of military, and they accordingly have their ranks and they get promoted. The non-commissioned officers, who do not have, who don't come from the military school, they join in as a soldier and then keep on increasing. So what George Orwell is saying, that in this kind of militia, there are officers and there are NCOs, but there was no military rank, like, colonel, no titles, no badges, no heel clicking and saluting. Saluting is a very normalized part of military, right? So there's no saluting, there's no hierarchy. They had attempted to produce within the militia sort of temporary working model of a classless society, right? George Orwell has written a lot against totalitarian regimes. He has also written about this concept of unperson. What is an unperson? An unperson is someone whose every kind of right you take away. You render them invisible. So you even take away the right to be a person. So how does a totalitarian state does it? This is what George Orwell talked about and wrote about. He died very young, as you can see. But the fact is that he gave you the idea that how the term comrade was also used in the military during the Spanish Civil War. So the term comrade, which I want to, leave you with this part, is that has a long history. And it is not just limited now to the Marxist interpretation. And above all and beyond all, the quest of having a term like comrade was similar to having a term like citizen, which needs to be neutral, right? And no other kind of connotation. So what I want to make you think about is in your own language. It can be your mother tongue, in your own vernacular. How many words do you have which are neutral? They don't have any hierarchy, right? So think about that.